If you're an executive in a job search right now, you've probably noticed something. The rules have changed. In this video, we're breaking down exactly what's happening in today's executive job market, and more importantly, what you need to do differently to land your next role.
Something came across email that really struck home, really something that we're seeing a lot in this market right now. So, what we often hear from people who first applied to hundreds of jobs, and I barely get any reach outs. And when I do, they're not good fits, or they disappear, or the job doesn't get filled, or something may happen. And this is really killing confidence. And we're seeing this saying, you need a strategy. You're not going to get plucked from obscurity. You'll really need to show up differently in this market. Part of this is due to the rise in AI applications, really flooding open jobs with applications. So the ability of AI to quickly tailor resumes, cover letters, social media profiles is prompting job seekers to apply for any job they see, which we're definitely seeing this in the market. But the result is a vicious cycle. More and more people are applying for jobs that are less and less likely to be filled. And that's because companies are so overwhelmed with applications that they're going to not fill that role through the online applications and either go with someone who was referred or hire internally or certainly work with a recruitment firm. So if you are seeing that you're not getting chosen for interviews, many people, if not all, may not be getting chosen for interviews. And up to 70% of jobs are being filled through either hiring someone internally or someone in the network. So that means only 30% of those jobs are ever going to get filled anyway. So what does this mean? How do you get around this? The number one thing to really stand out and make progress in this job market is to have a plan. So this tip matters the most. A random job search will not suffice anymore. You have to be systematic. You have to step back before stepping in. And that's what we're seeing is so many people are just churning through the job search. They may get laid off or they may think something's going on with their current job and they just jump right in. They start telling everyone they know that they're looking for a job. They start applying to everything that they could do. I'm qualified for that. I don't know why I didn't get an interview, or I've done that before, or I could do that. None of these things are enough right now. And without a systematic step-by-step plan on how you're going to approach your job search, it's really, really hard to make headway in this search right now. What are the job search channels that make sense for you that aren't online applications? So is that expanding, activating your network? Is it focusing on companies and non-opportunities? Is it working with recruiters if you're a good fit for recruiters? And by that, are you looking for an apples to apples role that you're either currently in or just left? Who do you need to be meeting? How are you opening those doors? How are you getting those conversations? And that is not how many online applications you applying to right now, because again, it's just a black hole. So a couple of other things, target your efforts, the energy in the companies and the roles where you can contribute and flourish. What are your lowest hanging fruit? What is the most natural point A to point B that you can point to your experience rather than trying to be a square peg for a bunch of round holes that are never going to bring you in for an interview? And then network, 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 literally network, network, network. It's a contact sport. This is not a passive activity. We need to be actively out there. We need to be actively telling people what we want and making those introductions and being valuable to our network as well. If you're going through this process and you're applying to jobs and you're not getting follow-ups or you're getting interviews that don't make sense for you and you're starting to panic because the right job isn't coming across, this is happening and it's hurting confidence level. And desperation, when you are desperate, it comes across. And we really can't come to our job search with that energy, or we're never going to win the offer. But instead, strategy is calm confidence. It's the steady hand. Strategy is the calm confidence. We cannot just go and make it a numbers game and apply to everything on the planet. We need to really think about, what do we do best? What companies are we most uniquely equipped to serve? Who do we need to meet? And do that in a systematic way and open real doors rather than just shouting into the void. And so before you do anything, before you write your resume, start looking for jobs, start reaching out to your network, the number one most important thing you have to do is get specific about what you want in your ideal next role, the kinds of companies that you're uniquely equipped to serve. Because right now, the market is not hiring generalists. We can't throw everything at an employer and have them decide where we would best fit, because that's not the market we're in. They are hiring people that have been there, done that, and can easily plug in and hit the ground running. And so this matters for all of you because trying to be all things to all people or trying to include too much in their resumes or in their reach outs to their network, diluting your value, and people don't know what to do with you. So we want to make it easy for people. And this is the number one most important because this is going to carry you from starting your search, building a strong, unique value proposition, building a hyper-focused resume that is not just a general list of duties, but is really why you're uniquely equipped to serve and support the company that you work for, uniquely focused on their challenges, right? Because your resume is about you, but it's not for you. This is really true about every step of your job search. Your resume, your LinkedIn profile, all of these steps are really about you, but not for you. And we need to change the lens to the audience. And if you don't have a clear audience, then you don't have anyone to actually write a compelling message for. So this is where we want to get specific. What are the kinds of roles you want to pursue? What are the kinds of companies you want to work with? And an example of this is, and so an individual contributor, very different skills and accomplishment stories and impact than a executive leads teams and strategy. And so that resume isn't going to be good for both because it's diluting the value of either one. Either you're going to look overqualified, like you're trying to run the show as an individual contributor, or you're diluting your value as a senior leader and strategic leader if you're trying to include a bunch of individual contributor work. And so these are two different searches. You need different messages. We have to remember open applications are getting flooded with applicants, 1,000 plus. How to get in front of opportunities through our network, through focusing on companies so that you're not a square peg in a round hole. Think about that unique value proposition. When we have a strong audience, then we want to think about what we do, the impact that we deliver, and who we do it for. And that'll help us build an impact statement or a unique value statement that is stronger than I have 25 years of experience in blah, blah, blah. That value proposition statement is something that you're going to weave throughout your entire resume, impact all the information that you include in your LinkedIn profile and in your interviews, in your networking conversations. And that's the other place that having a clear focus is really helpful in these networking conversations. We don't want to send messages to someone that gives them our entire history of everything we've ever done and have them figure out what we want next. Or the opposite, I'm looking for a new role. Let me know if there's anything that fits my background. I don't know your background and I don't know what you want. And so we need to make it really specific for people and really clear. And it seems counterintuitive to narrow your focus in a market that is so tough because you don't want to miss out on opportunities, but really you're missing out on all of the opportunities. Diluting your message this way. And if we expand our reach, then more conversations with the right companies because making a more compelling value statement like across the board from executives to board candidates to focus. And it's really killing your opportunities in the market. We have to get focused before we can do a strong job search. But networking into job opportunities. And so
just hitting the apply now is not working. And doing things the way that always worked before, it's not working anymore. And it's really come down to that networking. And so the article tech jobs, we're watching two completely different job markets right now. One where strong engineers are fielding 4 or 5 offers at a time, while others are sending out hundreds of resumes with no response. And then the big differentiator is having a strong network versus cold applying and hoping for the best. Networking might not be the path, but the only one available.
online applications are getting inundated with candidates. There's no way you're going to stand out. Companies still need to hire, but they are slowing the process down. They're making sure it's the right hire. They're being more picky. They're being more selective about who they bring on. And because of that, it's really done through personal networks and introductions, skip a more meaningful relationship with a potential hire leading to these conversations. But if we're used to doing it online or we've never had to go on a network before, it feels really uncomfortable. And it's something it's uncomfortable for most people and they really struggle with it. How do I reach out to them without how do I reach out to someone if they don't already know me? Interesting. The things we struggle with are really across the board. It's not too late. In fact, it's better to start now than to continue down this path that is getting you nowhere.
Time out.
If this isn't working, then in a different way. That is building and activating that network. Someone already has a deep network or they have a network they haven't reached out to in a while. We think about activating the network, meaning letting them know proactively what you're looking for, what you're available for, conversations with people, warming things up. But if you need to build a network, and people at all levels do, and that's okay, then we need to think about who we need to meet, who can open those doors for us. And I don't want you to think about your current network and say, okay, no one can hire me in my current, because that's not actually how it works. It's more of those second and third degree connections that is where the magic happens. And so attending conferences, attending where you can get in the room digitally or live, preferably, with people to make those human connections and just start building a relationship, have those conversations. Hey, would love to learn more about your work at XYZ, but really getting into the rooms and putting yourself out there in places where people can see you and get to know you and you can make those connections. That can be done anytime. It doesn't have to be done. Granted, it's better if it happened 3 years ago, but if it didn't, start now.
One thing, ask who else you should know. Who else should I be talking to?
That question is so powerful to open those doors to people that you may not have gotten in front of. And that's just a really important way to get to that second and that third degree connection, those people who know who you know.
I talk to people every day who are also in the interview process, and they're not getting those interviews by just cold sending their resumes out cold.
They're not. And if they do, they're in a pile of other people who are going through the interview process as well. And so their chances of actually landing that job are pretty slim. I want you all to think about how you got your last job. People rely on online applications, but very rarely did people actually get a job through online applications. It's really more about knowing someone who knew someone who needed this. So put yourself in the position to get found, to get noticed, to have those conversations. And that requires putting ourselves out there. I want you all to just remember that all of the people in your life can be that key to that. And we need to put ourselves out there and be with humans, start opening doors.